Now there's something that I should mention here, and it's pretty obvious, but right now I'm pretty near done here with step 17. That is finding all the parts. Now, when I'm cutting off a little tiny little piece here, right now I'm working on D14. There's one D14 on each one of these sheets, and it's very, very easy to accidentally, while you're cutting one little piece, if you're holding this down with your hand, to accidentally smear something that's even more delicate. Now, as far as I know, I haven't done it yet. But if I take the extra time to tape it down to the piece of glass here and then hold down on the piece of glass, there's less of a chance of me just sort of forget what I'm doing and wreck something really delicate here. Like, I know you're quite a ways away from it, but there's some really very, very delicate little pieces here. So anyway, okay, just one more snip, and that's it for step 17. That's it. We now have right here enough pieces to make one 37mm AA gun. That is the plastic parts. Over here is the total number of photo etch. Now for each gun we need one of these, two of these, and that's it. So right here we now have all the parts necessary. As you can well imagine, I'm putting off trying to fold these into the right shape and trying to glue these pieces into these little holes in the right shape, in the right place. This little gear thing here, it somehow goes in between the gun assembly. Oh my goodness, this is going to be hard. Anyway, however, I'm going to sort of put off this for a minute or two. When I was cutting the photo etch yesterday using this blade, I was noticing that I was bending the tip. I tried to resharpen it with a file, with a very fine file, and it helped a little. And I used to use this. Now, this actually worked better, except it's too wide and it doesn't fit into some of the places on the sheet of photo etch. One of the viewers was suggesting, why don't you get yourself a 1/8 inch file, or 1/8 inch chisel, and use that. And well, that's kind of what I'm going to do here. I'm thinking of reshaping one of these blades here so it's a little narrower. Right now it's almost 1/2 inch wide. So I'm going to try and grind it down without losing the temper, and in fact without losing my temper too. And yeah, I brought my Tormek upstairs this morning. Oh, in case you're wondering, these pieces over here, these 6 pieces, they go for the with the observation set. They have nothing to do with the AA gun. Remember when taking slides was the thing? Well, that's what this box is from. And I was thinking, I probably started taking slides almost 60 years ago. Because I was about 13 years old, I guess. First time I started taking slides. Learning how to use a camera and so on. Anyway, that's what this little box is. I'm using one of them now, as you can see, to hold blades. And I'm hoping that I can use one of these kind of getting rusty blades as, you know, a new chisel that I'm going to make. At least that's the plan. And these ones here, of course, are brand new, but I, don't want to waste them. Anyway, let's get at it here. Now we're going to go on a little side trip here. I got curious and I was thinking, how many of my old slides do I still have? And then I recalled that, about 4 or 5 years ago, I digitized all my slides. I made up a slide copier using my macro lens. Did a fantastic job. In fact, it was probably better than most slide copiers you can buy. Anyway, these slides go back to around 1960 or 61. And the reason I know they go that far back, because you see this house here? Well, that's when we lived in Omaha. And we moved away from there, I think, around 60, 61. And for those of you who maybe are familiar with Omaha, or maybe you're a viewer who lives in Omaha, that house was on the corner of 24th Street and Fowler Avenue. And interestingly, there were 7 apartments in that house. And we lived in one of those apartments. So right now, my tool rest here is adjusted for my scrapers down in the workshop. And I don't want to lose this setting because it's the 3 scrapers that I use regularly. I've got them all set at the exact same angle, so I want to make sure I don't lose, like I say. And yet I want to be able to use this. So I'm not going to readjust this, and I'm not going to readjust this. Make sure this is nice and tight so it doesn't change. Now see if I can't somehow use this as a, well, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now I know I didn't show it being done, but I went down to my workshop and I used my regular grinder. I took a blade like this and I just changed the shape a little bit. And in order to not take the temper out of it, I would dip it in water and then grind for maybe not even a second. Then I dip it in water again, grind some more, and I did this many times until I got the shape that you see here. And I'm quite sure that I have not taken the temper out of this. The bevel here that you see is probably going to change a little, but let's give it a try and see what we can do. Okay, if I always lay it like this, it'll always be at the same angle to the stone. And then I think that this should work. In other words, I won't be reshaping every time, I'll just be sharpening an existing bevel. Like I say, that's the plan. Okay, we have water in the reservoir. Now we are looking at photo etch parts C12. They're the base for one of the observation sets. And you'll notice, like right here for instance, where I cut it off, I didn't cut close enough to the part. Let's see if we can get in close enough to cut off that little nub that you see sticking out there. I don't know if this is going to work, but if I can do, something like this, well, then I can imagine that, our new tool is working, really well. I'd just like to quickly throw in here, this is going to be the first time I'm trying this. It's not like I already know what's going to happen. Okay, now, perhaps I don't have the light quite right, but let's see what happens here. Yeah, look at that. Okay, I think this thing's going to be alright. I was just thinking, if I'm smart, I'll get my Tormac off the kitchen table and I'll get it over conveniently located beside me at the model table. And that way, every time I go to do a new snip on the photo etch, I can just give it a quick touch. Because the glass, I'm sure that every time I come down onto the glass, I'm probably blunting the blade a little bit. Microscopically, but, it makes a difference. Okay, in your mind, picture an old-fashioned tractor seat. The kind that was on my grandfather's old John Deere tractor. Now, I have to bend this part right here is sort of like the base of it, and this part here you can see would be like a seat. Kind of looks like a bicycle seat, but I think it was more like an old, tractor seat. And you see these little indentations, there's 3 of them, one there, and one there. Well, I'm supposed to bend these. Normally what you do, you bend your photo etch piece towards the indentation. But in this case, I'm going to have to do one towards and one away. And, yeah, it's going to be, I'm almost scared to try. Maybe we'll put this off until tomorrow. So, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you back at this little piece tomorrow.